Imagine getting arrested for holding a salmon suspiciously or fined for running out of gas on the highway. Welcome to the weirdest side of European law, where common sense often takes a permanent vacation. We've hunted down the 50 most absurd, hilarious, and confusing regulations that are technically still enforceable today. Get ready to question reality, because things are about to get legally ridiculous. 1. In the town of Eraclea, near Venice, building sandcastles on the beach is illegal. While most of us see sandcastles as innocent childhood fun, the local authorities view them as obstructions to the public passage. Apparently, people were building such massive sand fortresses that strollers and emergency services couldn't get by. So now, if you bring a bucket and spade to the beach, you aren't just a tourist, you're a potential zoning violator. 2. France has a law that sounds like the plot of a gothic romance novel. You are legally allowed to marry a dead person. It's called posthumous matrimony. This isn't a free-for-all. You have to prove you had the intention of marrying them before they died, and you actually need permission from the President of France. It's surprisingly sweet, usually intended for women whose fiancé died in war or accidents, ensuring children remain legitimate. Still, the wedding photos must be incredibly awkward. 3. In Switzerland, your bodily functions are on a strict schedule. It is considered illegal to flush a toilet in an apartment building after 10 p.m. The government has classified the sound of flushing water as noise pollution, which evidently disrupts the pristine Swiss silence. So, if nature calls late at night, you have two options. Hold it until sunrise like a champion, or risk becoming a criminal in your own bathroom. It really makes you wonder how they handle late-night taco cravings in Zurich. 4. If you're swimming off the coast of Portugal, you need to hold it. It is explicitly illegal to urinate in the ocean in Portugal. We are not making this up. While most laws rely on evidence, it is entirely unclear how the Portuguese authorities plan to enforce this one. Are they employing underwater detectives? Do they have lifeguard snipers looking for suspicious warm spots? It's a rule that relies entirely on the honor system. Be honest with us in the comments. Have you ever secretly relieved yourself in the sea, or are you a civilized human being who gets out of the water first? 5. In Germany, you cannot simply buy a rod and go fishing. You are legally required to possess a Fischerprüfung, which is essentially a driver's license for fishing. This isn't just a permit you buy. It is a rigorous state exam that requires weeks of classes covering fish biology, hydrology, and legal regulations. Locals often call it the Fishing High School Diploma. If you are caught casting a line without passing this test, you are technically poaching, which is a criminal offense. Only in Germany could they turn sitting by a lake into an academic achievement. 6. In the small town of Tucson, Poland, Winnie the Pooh is persona non grata. The local council banned the beloved bear from appearing on playgrounds because of his dubious sexuality. Their reasoning? Pooh Bear doesn't wear pants. The officials argued that because he is half-naked and lacks clear genitalia, he is an inappropriate hermaphrodite and a bad influence on children. It's a fascinating hill to die on, banning a cartoon bear for public indecency. Does a bear without pants actually offend you? Or do these politicians need to find a real hobby? 7. The United Kingdom has a licensing act from 1872 that is still in effect, which makes it a criminal offense to be drunk while in charge of a cow. You also cannot be drunk while in charge of a steam engine or a loaded firearm. But the cow part is the one that really stands out. It paints a beautiful picture of 19th century British problems. If you stumble out of a pub leading a heifer that isn't walking in a straight line, you are looking at a fine or imprisonment. 8. In Germany, a pillow can be considered a passive weapon. Under German law, if you hit someone hard enough with a pillow to cause injury, it can be prosecuted as assault with a weapon, similar to using a bat or a knife. This puts a serious damper on slumber parties. It essentially means that a pillow fight isn't just playful roughhousing. Legally speaking, it's a combat sport where you are wielding a soft, feathery bludgeon. 9. In the Italian city of Turin, owning a dog comes with a mandatory workout plan. It is a crime to not walk your dog at least 3 times a day. If you are caught being a lazy owner, you can be fined up to 500 euros. The city takes animal welfare incredibly seriously, and they also banned dyeing your pet's fur, so don't even think about giving your poodle a pink makeover. It's one of the few laws on this list that is actually wholesome, albeit strict. 10. Sweden has a specific naming law that allows the government to reject names they deem inappropriate or likely to cause offense. This led to a protest by a couple who attempted to name their child Albin. Obviously, the government rejected it. They also rejected the name IKEA and Metallica. So if you live in Sweden, you don't just need your partner's approval for a baby name, you need the tax agency to sign off on it too. 11. In France, bureaucracy extends to gastropods. If you are traveling by high-speed train and carrying live snails, they must have their own ticket. The French National Rail Company, SNCF, classifies any live animal under 6 kilograms as a domestic pet, regardless of species. There was an actual case in 2008 where a Frenchman was fined for carrying snails in his luggage without a ticket. The conductor waived the rulebook, and the man had to pay the fare. So if you're bringing escargot ingredients to a dinner party, make sure the snails have paid their fair share. 12. In the town of Longyearbyen on the Svalbard archipelago in Norway, it is illegal to die. This isn't a joke. It is a legal mandate enforced by the local government. The town is situated so far north that the permafrost prevents bodies from decomposing. Scientists found that bodies buried there during the 1918 flu pandemic still contained active strains of the virus decades later. If you are terminally ill or appear to be on your deathbed, they will fly you to the mainland to pass away. It's the only place on Earth where death is considered a zoning violation. Would you be willing to live in a town where your final exit is legally prohibited? Or is that too creepy for you? 13. In the city of Seville, Spain, there is a crackdown on acoustic pollution that specifically targets dominoes. While playing dominoes on a sidewalk cafe terrace sounds like a charming Mediterranean pastime, the city council banned it because the sound of the tiles slamming against metal tables was driving residents crazy. You can still play cards, and you can still play chess, but if you slam down a double 6 domino with too much enthusiasm, the police can intervene. 14. In 2002, the Greek government accidentally banned video games. All of them. In an attempt to crack down on illegal gambling machines, they passed Law 3037, which was written so broadly that it outlawed electronic games with electronic mechanisms and software. This technically made Game Boys, mobile phone games, and home consoles illegal. Tourists were actually arrested for playing handheld games in internet cafes. The European Union eventually stepped in and told Greece to fix the wording because they had effectively criminalized Super Mario. 15. In Portugal, owning a dashcam is technically illegal. While the rest of the world uses them to prove insurance claims, Portugal has extremely strict privacy laws that forbid filming other road users without their consent. If you have a camera mounted on your dashboard, you aren't just being cautious. You are potentially violating the privacy rights of everyone you pass. The police can confiscate the camera and issue a hefty fine. So if you see something crazy happen on a Lisbon road, you just have to describe it really well later. 16. Spain has a specific traffic law that turns your weekly grocery run into a high-stakes game of Tetris. It is technically illegal to have loose items in the backseat of your car, which includes grocery bags that aren't strapped in. The legal logic is that if you brake suddenly at high speed, a flying can of soup becomes a deadly projectile missile. If the police spot a baguette or a melon rolling around freely on your back seat, you can be slapped with a 200 euro fine. So, unless you want your vegetables to cost you a fortune, buckle them up like they are your children. 17. In Rome, Italy, keeping a goldfish in a spherical glass bowl is prohibited. The city council passed a bylaw banning round bowls because scientists argued that the curved glass distorts the fish's vision, which is considered cruel and liable to make the fish go blind. It's one of the most specific animal rights laws in the world. You can have the fish, but it needs a rectangular tank with a filter. It raises a good point. We worry about dog welfare, but who fights for the eyesight of a $3 goldfish? 18. Finnish taxi drivers have a very specific tax to pay if they want to entertain you. If a taxi driver in Finland plays music on the radio while a customer is in the car, they are required to pay a copyright royalty fee to Tiesto, the Finnish Composers Copyright Bureau. The logic is that the taxi becomes a public performance venue the moment a paying customer enters. Because of this, many Finnish taxi rides are incredibly silent. 19. If you are visiting the Houses of Parliament in London, leave your suit of armor at the hotel. The statute forbidding bearing of armor, passed in 1313 under King Edward II, makes it illegal to enter Parliament wearing armor. While this was designed to stop nobles from using intimidation tactics during debates, the law has never been repealed. So if you show up to a debate on Brexit dressed like a medieval knight, you aren't just making a fashion statement. You're technically committing treason. 20. In Switzerland, the Sunday peace is taken so seriously that hanging your laundry outside to dry on a Sunday is forbidden in many cantons. The sight of flapping underwear is considered unsightly and a disruption to the orderly, restful atmosphere of the Sabbath. You can wash your clothes and you can dry them inside, but if your neighbors see your socks on a clothesline, they can, and will, file a formal complaint. It's the ultimate example of curb appeal being enforced by law. 21. Romania has officially recognized witchcraft as a taxable profession. In 2011, the government decided that if witches and fortune tellers were making money, they needed to pay income tax like everyone else. Naturally, the witches were furious and reportedly cast spells on the government officials, throwing poisonous mandrake into the Danube River to curse them. But the law stands. If you visit Bucharest for a palm reading, just know that your mystic guide is likely worrying about her quarterly VAT returns just as much as your future. 22. In France, there is a cultural war being fought in school cafeterias, and the enemy is ketchup. In an effort to preserve French culinary heritage, the government banned unlimited access to ketchup in primary schools. It can only be served once a week, specifically with French fries. The logic is that children should learn to appreciate the taste of the food itself, not mask it with American sugar sauce. Be honest. Is this food snobbery gone too far? Or do you wish schools in your country cared this much about what kids eat? 23. If a dead whale washes up on a British beach, don't try to take it home. Under a statute from 1324 called Prerogativa Regis, all whales, sturgeons, and porpoises are considered royal fish and are the personal property of the monarch. Technically, the king owns the head and the queen owns the tail. Historically so, she could use the bones for her corsets. Even today, if you catch a sturgeon in the UK, you technically have to offer it to the palace before you can put it on the grill. 24. Germany takes its grammar so seriously that using the wrong pronoun can get you fined. German has two forms of you, the formal Sie and the informal Du. If you get pulled over for speeding and you address the police officer as Du, it can be considered insulting a public official. Courts have upheld fines of up to 600 euros just for being too casual. It's the only country where being friendly is a financial liability. 25. In Sweden, spontaneity is illegal in bars. Venues must have a specific dance permit, danstillstånd, if they want patrons to move their bodies to music. If a bar doesn't have this license and customers start tapping their feet or swaying too enthusiastically, the police can fine the owner. It doesn't matter if the music is good, if the paperwork isn't filed, your hips must remain stationary. It's essentially the plot of the movie Footloose, but applied to an entire Scandinavian nation. 26. Norway has a view on dog ownership that is completely opposite to the US. In Norway, it is generally illegal to spay or neuter your dog unless there is a specific medical reason. Routine neutering is considered mutilation and is viewed as unnecessary surgery. If you move there with a fixed dog, you're fine. But if you take your Norwegian puppy to the vet for the snip without a medical justification, they will turn you away. It's a fascinating cultural clash. In the US, you're irresponsible if you don't fix your dog. In Norway, you're cruel if you do. 27. In the Spanish coastal town of Torrox, the umbrella war is real. Tourists were waking up at 5 a.m. to stake their claim on the beach by planting an umbrella and then going back to sleep for 4 hours. The local council had enough. They passed a law stating that any umbrella left unattended for the purpose of reserving space will be confiscated by the police. You now have to pay a €30 fine to liberate your umbrella from beach jail. It's petty, aggressive, and honestly, we need this law everywhere. 28. France has implemented a right to disconnect law that makes it illegal for companies with more than 50 employees to expect you to answer work emails after hours. It isn't just a suggestion. Companies are required to negotiate specific hours where employees are totally free from digital intrusion. If your boss emails you at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday asking for a spreadsheet, they are technically violating your civil rights. How quickly would your boss be in jail if this law existed in your country? 29. Switzerland has a law that proves they have the biggest hearts in Europe, at least when it comes to rodents. It is illegal to own just one guinea pig. Because they are social animals, the Swiss government has deemed it an act of cruelty to keep them in isolation. You must buy them in pairs. This law is so strictly followed that it actually created a niche industry: guinea pig rental services. If one of your pets dies, you can rent a partner for the survivor so it doesn't get lonely, and so you don't become a criminal. It's officially harder to be lonely as a Swiss rodent than as a human being. 30. In the city of La Spezia, Italy, specifically within the Cinque Terre National Park, flip-flops are public enemy number 1. Authorities got so tired of rescuing tourists who tried to hike rugged mountain trails in cheap rubber sandals that they banned them entirely. If you are caught on the trails wearing flip-flops or sliders, you can face fines ranging from 50 to 2,500 euros. It's a steep price to pay for toe ventilation, but it saves the helicopter rescue teams a lot of work. 31. Finland has a traffic law that strikes terror into the hearts of the wealthy. Speeding fines are not a flat rate. They are calculated based on your disposable income. The more you earn, the more you pay. This led to a famous incident where a Nokia executive was fined over 100,000 euros for driving 45 miles per hour in a 30 zone. It's a system designed to make the punishment sting equally for everyone, whether you're a janitor or a CEO. Honestly, is this the most fair system in the world? Or does the idea of a 6-figure traffic ticket make you want to sell your car? 32. In Germany, escaping from prison is not a punishable crime. We are serious. German law views the desire for freedom as a fundamental human instinct, so the act of breaking out itself adds no extra time to a prisoner's sentence. However, there is a catch. You will be charged for damaging the bars you sawed through, stealing the prison clothes you're wearing, and any violence you committed on the way out. Essentially, you can leave, but you better not break anything or hurt anyone while doing it. 33. If you are a man planning a pool vacation in France, check your luggage. Most public swimming pools in France strictly ban loose-fitting swim shorts or Bermudas. You are legally required to wear a tight-fitting Speedo-style swimsuit, often affectionately called a mule bite. The reasoning is purely hygienic. They believe men wear shorts all day as regular clothes and then jump in the pool, tracking in dirt. With a Speedo, they know it's only for swimming. 34. Monaco is world famous for the Monte Carlo Casino, a playground for the super rich. But there is one group of people strictly forbidden from gambling there: the citizens of Monaco. The Monegasque government wants its residents to keep their money, not lose it to the house. The casino was built to tax foreigners, not locals. If you show a Monaco passport at the door, you will be politely but firmly turned away. It's the ultimate don't get high on your own supply rule, applied to an entire country. 35. Germany has a law involving chimney sweep monopolies that feels like it's from the 1800s. Until extremely recently, German homeowners were legally required to allow a Schornsteinfeger, a master chimney sweep, into their home to inspect the flue, and you couldn't choose which one. Each district was assigned one specific sweep who had a territorial monopoly. Even if you didn't have a chimney, they had the right to inspect your heating system. It's a rare instance where the government mandates which specific tradesman you must hire. 36. In London, the Metropolitan Police Act of 1839 is the gift that keeps on giving. It is technically illegal to make or use any slide upon ice or snow in any street or other thoroughfare. That's right. If you see a patch of ice on the sidewalk and decide to take a running slide for fun, you are a criminal. The law classifies it as a danger to passengers, putting harmless winter joy in the same category as public disorder. 37. In Milan, Italy, an old law from the Austro-Hungarian times states that citizens must smile at all times while in public. The only exceptions are for funeral goers and hospital workers. While this hasn't been enforced in over a century, it has never been formally repealed. It was originally designed to bring prestige and gloom-free vibes to the city. Imagine a world where a police officer could ticket you for having resting bitch face. 38. Poland requires every single car on the road to carry a fire extinguisher. Not just trucks or buses, every private sedan and hatchback. If you rent a car in Poland, check the trunk, because if you get pulled over and you can't produce your extinguisher, you are getting fined. It turns the entire nation into a volunteer fire department on wheels. It's actually a great safety idea, but it's a hassle if you just wanted to drive to the grocery store and realized your fire safety equipment is expired. 39. In Germany, Sunday is Ruhetag, or Quiet Day, and they mean it. It is strictly forbidden to use power drills, lawnmowers, or loud machinery on a Sunday. If you decide to hang a picture frame and start drilling into your wall at 2 p.m. on a Sunday, your neighbors will not just be annoyed, they will call the police and the police will show up. It forces the entire country to actually relax, whether they want to or not. 40. In the French town of Châteauneuf-du-Pape, the mayor passed a law in 1954 that forbids flying saucers from taking off or landing within the city limits. This wasn't a joke. The town was genuinely worried about aliens disrupting their world-famous wine production. The law states that any extraterrestrial craft, known as flying cigars, will be immediately impounded. To this day, the law has been 100% effective, as 0 aliens have dared to steal their grapes. 41. Denmark has effectively nationalized the naming of children. Parents are legally bound to choose a name from a specific, government-approved list of about 7,000 names. If you want to name your child something unique like Monkey or Pluto, and yes, people have actually tried, you are forced to apply for special permission from the Family Affairs Department. They reject about 20% of these custom requests every year to protect kids from bullying. It might seem strict, but it prevents parents from treating their child's birth certificate like a vanity license plate. 42. In the United Kingdom, strictly speaking, you cannot shake your rug whenever you want. Under the Town Police Clauses Act of 1847, it is an offense to beat or shake any carpet, rug, or mat in the street, except for a doormat, and even then, only before 8 a.m. If you decide to shake the dust out of your Persian rug at 8:05 a.m., you are technically breaking the law. It's a rule designed to keep dust off pedestrians, but it feels incredibly petty today. 43. France is incredibly protective of its culture, to the point where they enforce a strict radio music quota. By law, private radio stations must ensure that at least 40% of the music they broadcast is of French origin. This was designed to stop the Anglo-American invasion of pop music, but it has created a weird side effect. Stations often play the same classic French hits on repeat late at night just to meet their legal quota, allowing them to blast Beyoncé and Taylor Swift during the profitable rush hour. It is government-mandated patriotism through audio statistics. 44. In Germany, your office environment is a matter of human rights. Workplace regulations state that every employee has a legal right to a view of the sky. It is illegal for an employer to set up a permanent workspace in a windowless room or a basement dungeon. If you work in a German office, your boss is legally obligated to ensure you have a direct line of sight to daylight. It is a surprisingly humane law that acknowledges that workers are biological organisms who need the sun, not just spreadsheet-generating robots designed to suffer in the dark. 45. Venice has officially declared war on pigeons. While feeding the birds in St. Mark's Square used to be a classic tourist tradition, it is now strictly illegal and heavily policed. The city realized the birds were acidic pooping machines that were rapidly destroying the ancient marble statues and mosaics. If you are caught throwing even a single crumb to a pigeon today, you face a fine starting at 50 euros and going up to 700 euros. That is a very expensive lunch for a flying rat, so keep your sandwich to yourself and let the birds find their own food. 46. In the United Kingdom, the Victorian era is still alive and well in the law books. Under the Town Police Clauses Act of 1847, it is technically illegal to fly a kite in a public place or slide on ice if it annoys passengers. That is right. If you see a patch of ice on the sidewalk and decide to take a running slide for fun, you are a criminal. The law classifies this whimsical winter joy in the same category as public disorder. If your kite crashes into a picnic, you aren't just clumsy. You are a violator of a 170-year-old police statute. 47. Estonia has a law that makes the entire population look like construction workers, but it genuinely saves lives. It is mandatory for all pedestrians to wear a reflector or hold a light when walking at night in areas with poor street lighting. If the police catch you ghost walking in the dark without a small plastic reflector dangling from your coat, you will get a fine. It essentially turns the country into a giant disco ball after sunset. But since the law was introduced, pedestrian accident rates have dropped significantly. 48. Iceland has one of the strictest biosecurity laws in the world. It is generally forbidden to import reptiles, snakes, or lizards. This isn't because they are afraid of snakes. It is because of a historic incident where a turtle infected a family with salmonella in the 1990s. The government effectively said, never again. If you want a pet in Reykjavik, it needs to be fluffy. If you try to smuggle in an iguana, you are looking at prison time and the immediate confiscation of your scaly friend. It is a reptile-free zone by decree. 49. In Rome, the urban decorum laws have made eating a snack a risky business. It is strictly prohibited to sit and eat on the famous Spanish Steps. The city police patrol the area blowing whistles at tired tourists who try to sit down for a breather. In the past, they have even used pressure hoses to keep the marble steps wet so nobody wants to sit there. It is an aggressive defense of historic architecture, effectively telling you to take your panini and your tired legs somewhere else. We've covered 49 absolute legal nightmares, but before number 50, it's time for the final verdict. For us, the trophy for the most insane rule goes to number 12, the ban on dying in Norway. Because honestly, outlawing death to save cemetery space is the ultimate bureaucratic power move. It is both terrifying and impressively practical. Do you agree, or did the French ghost marriage win your vote? Let us know below. And now, our final fact. 50. If you are a YouTuber, France has a trap waiting for you. It is technically illegal to publish a photo or video of the Eiffel Tower at night for commercial use. While the tower's structure is in the public domain, the sparkling lighting display was installed in 1985 and is considered a copyrighted artistic work. The operating company strictly protects this copyright. So, if you film a monetized vlog with the lit-up tower in the background without paying a licensing fee, you are technically violating international copyright law. It is the most famous landmark in the world, yet owning a picture of it after dark is a legal crime. We just survived a tour through the wildest legal landscape on Earth. From the copyright traps of Paris to the silent toilets of Switzerland, It's clear that European lawmakers have been very busy and occasionally very bored. Which of these 50 laws actually blew your mind the most? Drop the number in the comments below. We seriously want to know. If you enjoyed this legal madness, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Stay safe, stay legal, and we'll see you in the next one.